Look at yourself in the mirror right now. What do you see? Really look beyond the surface, beyond the mask you wear for the world, beyond the smile you force when everything's falling apart. What truth lies in those eyes staring back at you? You're waiting, aren't you? Waiting for someone to rescue you. Waiting for that magical moment when everything clicks into place. Waiting for the world to recognize your worth, to validate your existence, to tell you that you matter. But here's the cold, hard truth that nobody wants to tell you. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody cares about your problems. Nobody lies awake at night thinking about your unfulfilled dreams. Does that hurt? Good. Let it hurt. Because that pain you're feeling right now, that's your wake-up call. That's your moment of truth. That's the universe screaming at you to stop being a victim of your own life. You know what's funny? We spend our entire lives seeking approval from people who are too busy seeking approval themselves. We're all trapped in this endless cycle of validation seeking, like hungry ghosts chasing after scraps. If only my parents had believed in me more. If only my partner understood me better. If only my boss appreciated my hard work. If only. Stop it. Just stop. These if onlys are the chains you've wrapped around your own ankles. They're the excuses you use to stay stuck, to avoid taking responsibility for your own life. You want to know why nobody cares about you? Because you haven't given them a reason to care. You haven't even convinced yourself that you're worth caring about. How can you expect others to invest in you when you won't invest in yourself? Think about it. When was the last time you kept a promise to yourself? When was the last time you looked at your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, and actually took a step, just one tiny step toward them? When was the last time you chose discomfort over comfort, growth over stagnation, courage over fear? You're nodding your head right now, aren't you? Because deep down you know this truth. You've always known it. But knowing isn't enough. Knowledge without action is like having a map but never taking the journey. Let me tell you something that might shock you. Your life right now, at this very moment, is exactly what you've chosen it to be. Every decision, every procrastination, every excuse, every moment of settling for less, these were all choices. They might not have felt like choices at the time, but they were. But what about my circumstances, you ask? What about the hand I was dealt? Yes, life isn't fair. Some people start the race closer to the finish line. Some people have better tools, better support systems, better opportunities. But here's what you need to understand. Life's unfairness is not an excuse to give up on yourself. You see, the moment you start caring about yourself, truly caring, not just the surface level self-care, that social media tries to sell you, something magical happens. You stop seeking permission to exist. You stop waiting for approval to succeed. You stop needing others to validate your worth. This isn't about becoming selfish. This isn't about shutting yourself off from the world. This is about becoming self-full. There's a difference. Being selfish means taking from others to fill yourself up. Being self-full means filling yourself up so you have more to give to others. Right now, you might be running on empty. You've given away your power, your energy, your dreams to people who didn't deserve them. You've compromised your values for relationships that depleted you. You've settled for less because you believed that's all you deserved. But what if you decided to become your own best friend? What if you started treating yourself with the same kindness, the same patience, the same understanding that you so freely give to others? What if you became your own cheerleader, your own mentor, your own hero? I can hear the voice in your head right now. But that sounds selfish. That sounds arrogant. Stop. That voice isn't yours. That voice is a collection of all the limiting beliefs you've absorbed throughout your life. It's the voice of every person who told you to dream smaller, to aim lower, to be more realistic. Because the reality doesn't need another person living in fear. The world doesn't need another person playing small. The world needs you, the real you, the authentic you, the you that exists beneath all those layers of doubt and hesitation. Think about a garden. When a garden is neglected, what happens? Weeds take over. The beautiful flowers and plants that could have flourished get choked out. Your life is that garden. Your potential, your dreams, your gifts, but if you don't tend to them, if you don't nurture them, if you don't protect them, the weeds of self-doubt, fear, and mediocrity will take over. Nobody's going to weed your garden for you. Nobody's going to plant your seeds for you. Nobody's going to water your dreams for you. That's your job. That's your responsibility. That's your privilege. But where do I start? You ask, how do I begin? You start by making a commitment to yourself, not a New Year's resolution type of commitment that fades by February. Not a, I'll try my best type of commitment that gives you an easy out when things get. No, you make a bone-deep, soul-level commitment to become the person you were meant to be. Start with the basics. Your health, physical, mental, emotional. Your environment, is it nurturing you or draining you? Your relationships, do they lift you up or pull you down? Your daily habits, are they moving you towards your goals or away from them? These aren't just questions to think about. These are questions that demand answers, answers that require action. Because here's another truth. Thinking about changing your life doesn't change your life. Planning to change your life doesn't change your life. Only action changes your life. Every moment you spend waiting for someone else to fix your life is a moment you could have spent fixing it yourself. Every excuse you make is energy you could have used to make progress. Every complaint about what you don't have is breath you could have used to create what you want. The world doesn't owe you anything. Not happiness, not success, not love, not recognition. These things aren't given, they're earned, they're created, they're built one decision at a time, one action at a time, one day at a time. And yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, you're going to fail sometimes. Yes, there will be days when you want to give up. But that's part of the process. That's part of the transformation. That's part of becoming the person you were meant to be. When you stop needing others to care about you, when you start truly caring about yourself, that's when people start caring about you. Not because you're seeking their approval, but because you're living with authenticity. Because you're showing up in the world as your true self. Because you're radiating the kind of energy that naturally draws people to you. But that can't be your goal. You don't fix yourself to make others care about you. You fix yourself because you care about you. You fix yourself because you know you're worth the effort. You fix yourself because that's what you deserve. So look in that mirror again. Look past the surface. Look past the doubt. Look past the fear. See the potential that's always been there. See the strength that's waiting to be unleashed. See the person you're capable of becoming. Now make a promise to that person in the mirror. Promise that from this moment forward, you'll stop waiting for someone else to care about you. Promise that you'll start caring about yourself. Promise that you'll do whatever it takes to become the best version, not for others, for you, because you deserve it, because you're worth it, because it's time. The journey of self-transformation isn't easy, but nothing worth having ever is. And you, the real you, the authentic you, the best version of you, are worth every ounce of effort it takes to get there. You know what's amazing about rock bottom? The view? Yes, you heard me right. When you're at your lowest point, when you feel like everything's fallen apart, you have the clearest view of what matters and what doesn't. From down there, you can see exactly what brought you to this point, and more importantly, what it's going to take to rise. Let me tell you something that might sound harsh, but it's going to set you free. Your pain isn't special. Your struggles aren't unique. Your challenges, as overwhelming as they feel right now, are not extraordinary. And that's actually wonderful news. Why? Because it means you're not alone. It means countless others have walked this path before you. It means the tools for transformation already exist. You just need to grab them and start building. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think transformation is about adding things to their life. More goals, more habits, more responsibilities. More. They're like someone trying to build a house by just piling up materials without first laying a foundation. Real transformation begins with subtraction. You need to strip away the layers of who you think you should be to discover who you actually are. You need to unlearn the limiting beliefs that have become your prison. You need to let go of the people, habits, and thoughts that keep you tethered to your old self. Think about a sculpture. The masterpiece isn't created by adding clay. It's revealed by chipping away everything that isn't the masterpiece. Your life works the same way. The extraordinary person you're meant to be already exists within you. Your job is to chip away everything that isn't that person. But what do I chip away first? You're wondering. Start with the biggest lie you tell yourself every day. You know the one. that voice that says you're not enough, that whisper that tells you it's too late, the thought that convinces you to play it safe. These lies are like parasites, feeding off your potential, draining your energy, keeping you small. And the worst part, you've been nurturing them. You've been feeding them with your attention, your belief, your resignation. Is another truth that might sting. Every time you blame someone else for your situation, you give away your power to change it. Every time you point fingers at circumstances, you surrender your ability to transform them. Every time you say, I can't, what you're really saying is, I won't. The world doesn't see you the way you see yourself. The world doesn't care about your intentions, your potential, or your dreams. The world only responds to your actions, your results, your actual impact. Think about that for a moment. All those grand plans in your head, they mean nothing until you act on them. All those skills you could develop, they're worthless until you actually develop them. All that value you could bring to the world. It doesn't exist until you actually bring it. This is where self-discipline enters the picture. But let's be clear about what self-discipline really is. It's not about punishment. It's not about restriction. It's about love. The highest form of love you can show yourself. When you choose the salad over the burger, that's love. When you choose the gym over the couch, that's love. When you choose growth over comfort, that's love. When you choose long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure, that's love. But here's what nobody tells you about self-discipline. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's not about never falling. It's about always getting back up. It's not about never feeling fear. It's about acting despite that fear. You see, transformation isn't a straight line. It's not a smooth, steady climb to the top. It's messy. It's chaotic. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes it's 2 steps back. But as long as you keep moving, as long as you keep trying, you're winning. Every single person you admire, every single person who's achieved something remarkable started exactly where you are right now. They weren't born extraordinary. They weren't gifted with special powers. They simply made a decision, the same decision that's in front of you right now. They decided to stop waiting for permission. They decided to stop seeking approval. They decided to stop making excuses. They decided to start taking responsibility for their own life. And yes, they faced doubt. Yes, they dealt with criticism. Yes, they encountered obstacles that seemed insurmountable, but they kept going. Not because they were fearless, but because their desire for growth was stronger than their fear of failure. The path of transformation is lonely. Not because you're alone, but because nobody can walk it for you. Others can guide you, support you, cheer you on, but the actual work, that's all you. This loneliness scares people. It makes them retreat back to their comfort zone, back to their familiar patterns, back to their old self. But what they don't realize is that this loneliness is actually a gift. It's in these solitary moments that you discover your true strength. It's in these quiet spaces that you hear your authentic voice. It's in these challenging times that you build your unshakable foundation. Think about the butterfly emerging from its cocoon. If someone helps it by breaking open the cocoon, the butterfly dies. Why? Because the struggle to emerge is what strengthens its wings. Your struggles are strengthening your wings. Your challenges are building your resilience. Your obstacles are developing your character. You've got to stay in the process. You've got to embrace the discomfort. You've got to welcome the resistance, because that resistance, that's where the growth happens. That discomfort, that's where the transformation occurs. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop searching for hacks. Stop hoping for an easy way out. The easy way is a lie. The easy way leads nowhere. The easy way keeps you exactly where you are, doing exactly what you've always done, being exactly who you've always been. Instead, embrace the hard way. Welcome the challenges. Seek out the obstacles. Why? Because they're not in your way. They are the way. They're not blocking your path. They are the path. Every time you face a challenge, you have 2 choices. You can see it as something happening to you, or you can see it as something happening for you. One perspective makes you a victim. The other makes you a victor. One keeps you stuck. The other propels you forward. Which will you choose? Because make no mistake, it is a choice. Every moment of every day, you're either choosing growth or comfort. You're either choosing courage or fear. You're either choosing to move forward or stay stuck. And these choices, they compound. Just like interest in a bank account, your choices accumulate over time. Small choices made consistently create massive changes. The decision to wake up an hour earlier, the choice to read instead of watching TV, the commitment to face your fears instead of avoiding them. These might seem insignificant in the moment, but add them up over weeks, months, years. That's how transformation happens. That's how ordinary becomes extraordinary. That's how potential becomes reality. Let's talk about something that nobody wants to discuss: your relationship with pain. Not physical pain, but the deep soul-level pain that keeps you up at night. The pain of regret, the pain of missed opportunities, the pain of letting yourself down time and time again. Most people run from this pain. They numb it with distractions: social media, mindless entertainment, empty relationships, meaningless pursuits. They build elaborate defense mechanisms to avoid feeling it. But here's what they don't understand. Pain is your greatest teacher. Pain is your most loyal friend. Pain is your truest guide. When you feel the pain of staying in your comfort zone, that's your spirit crying out for growth. When you feel the pain of watching others succeed while you stay stuck, that's your potential demanding to be realized. When you feel the pain of living below your capabilities, that's your future self begging you to step up. Stop running from your pain. Stop numbing it. Stop pretending it doesn't exist. Instead, learn to listen to it. What's it telling you? What's it trying to teach you? What changes is it demanding you make? You see, comfort is the enemy of growth. Comfort is the killer of dreams. Comfort is the prison you've built for yourself, decorated so nicely that you've forgotten it's a prison. But here's the truth. Everything you want lies on the other side of comfort. Think about the person you want to become. Really think about it. Not the surface level stuff. The deeper truth. What values does that person embody? What habits have they mastered? What fears have they conquered? What impact do they make in the world? What are you willing to sacrifice to become that person? Because make no mistake, transformation requires sacrifice. You cannot become someone new while holding on to everything old. You cannot step into your future while clutching your past. You'll need to sacrifice your excuses. You'll need to sacrifice your limiting beliefs. You'll need to sacrifice your comfort zone. You'll need to sacrifice the approval of people who want you to stay the same. You'll need to sacrifice the identity you've built around your limitations. But that sounds hard. You're thinking, of course it's hard. If it were easy, everyone would do it. If it were easy, it wouldn't be worth doing. If it were easy, it wouldn't transform you. The hardness is the point. The struggle is the point. The resistance is the point, because each time you push through something hard, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than you thought. Each time you overcome a struggle, you build confidence in your capabilities. Each time you face resistance, you develop resilience. Let's talk about resistance for a moment. Resistance shows up in many forms. Sometimes it's procrastination. Sometimes it's self-doubt. Sometimes it's the sudden urge to clean your entire house when you should be working on your goals. Sometimes it's the voice in your head listing all the reasons why you can't, shouldn't, won't succeed. It's normal to all. It's natural. It's actually a good sign. Resistance only shows up when you're moving in the right direction. Resistance only appears when you're about to do something important. Resistance only fights you when you're on the verge of breakthrough. So instead of fighting resistance, learn to welcome it. When you feel resistance, smile. When you feel that urge to quit, celebrate. When you feel that pull back toward comfort, get excited. Because these feelings, they're signposts telling you you're on the right path. They wait for motivation. They wait for inspiration. They wait for the perfect moment when everything lines up just right. And while they're waiting, life passes them by. Opportunities slip away. Dreams fade into regrets. Stop waiting. Motivation is a myth. Inspiration is unreliable. The perfect moment is an illusion. The only thing that matters is action. Consistent, persistent, determined. Start before you feel ready. Start before you have it all figured out. Start before the fear goes away. Because here's another truth. The fear never goes away. The doubt never completely disappears. The uncertainty never fully resolves. Successful people aren't fearless. They've just learned to act despite their fears. They're not doubtless. They've just learned to move forward despite their doubts. They're not certain. They've just learned to take action despite uncertainty. This is where self-trust comes in. But self-trust isn't something you're born with. It's not something you can buy. It's not something others can give you. Self-trust is built through a very simple process. Make a promise to yourself and keep it. Do this again and again. Start small. Promise yourself you'll wake up when your alarm goes off, then do it. Promise yourself you'll drink more water, then do it. Promise yourself you'll read for 10 minutes, then do it. Each kept promise builds trust. Each fulfilled commitment strengthens your foundation. But what about when you break a promise to yourself? Because you will. You're human, you'll slip up, you'll fall short, you'll have days when everything falls apart. This is where most people derail their transformation. They use one failure as evidence that they can't succeed. They use one setback as proof that they should give up. You learn from it, you grow from it, you use it as feedback, not as evidence of your worthiness. You use it as a stepping stone, not as a stopping point. You use it as information about what needs to change, not as confirmation of what you can't do. Failure is an event, not an identity. Making a mistake doesn't make you a failure. Having a setback doesn't make you a failure. Falling short doesn't make you a failure. The only true failure is giving up on yourself. And that's really what this is all about, refusing to give up on yourself, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because the moment you decide to keep going when everything in you wants to quit, that's the moment transformation begins. You're not just changing your habits, you're not just improving your skills, you're not just upgrading your life. You're becoming someone new. You're shedding the limitations of your past self. You're stepping into the power of your potential. This journey isn't about proving anything to anyone else. It's not about winning their approval or earning their respect. It's about proving to yourself that you can. It's about keeping promises to yourself. It's about becoming someone you're proud to be. You know what's fascinating about transformation? The moment it starts happening, everything tries to pull you back to who you used to be. Your old friends start acting strange. Your family gets uncomfortable. Your own mind creates chaos. The universe seems to test your commitment at every turn. This isn't a coincidence. This isn't bad luck. This is life asking you a fundamental question. How badly do you want this? How committed are you really? Are you serious about this transformation, or is it just another phase, another temporary commitment, another... So what happens to most people? They start strong. They make bold declarations. They take massive action for a day, a week, maybe even a month. Then life happens. Obstacles appear. Motivation fades. And slowly and visibly, they slip back into their old patterns, their old habits, their old self. Transformender understood a fundamental truth. Transformation isn't an event, it's a practice. It's not something you do once and it's done. It's something you choose again and again and again every single day in every single month. Think about water. When water reaches its boiling point, it doesn't become steam for a moment and then go back to being water. It stays in its new form as long as it maintains the necessary conditions. Your transformation works the same way. You need to maintain the conditions that support your growth, your evolution, your elevation. But what are these conditions? Let's get practical. First, you need to protect your environment. Your environment isn't just your physical space. It's everything that influences your thoughts, your emotions, your decisions. It's the people you spend time with, the information you consume, the conversations you engage in, the energy you surround yourself with. Look around you right now. Really look. Is your environment supporting your growth or hindering it? Are the people in your life lifting you up or pulling you down? Is your daily routine nurturing your best self or feeding your worst habits? This isn't about making dramatic changes overnight. It's about making conscious choices. It's about being intentional with your time, your energy, your attention. It's about creating boundaries, not walls, but healthy limits that protect. And speaking of boundaries, let's talk about the most important boundary of all, the one between your goals and everyone else's expectations. There's another truth that might shake you. Most people who try to give you advice, who try to tell you what's best for you, who try to guide your path, they're not speaking from wisdom. They're speaking from their own fears, their own limitations, their own unfulfilled dreams. Their advice isn't about you. It's about them. Their concerns aren't about your well-being. They're about their comfort. Their resistance to your change isn't about protecting you. It's about protecting their own status quo. This is why you need to develop an unshakable inner compass. This isn't about becoming selfish or ignoring wisdom from others. It's about learning to distinguish between advice that serves your growth and opinions that serve others' comfort. How do you develop this inner compass? By getting quiet, by spending time alone with your thoughts, by learning to distinguish between your authentic voice and the voices you've internalized from others, by practicing the art of inner listening. But here's where it gets tricky. Your inner voice doesn't always tell you what you want to hear. Sometimes it points out uncomfortable truths. Sometimes it demands difficult changes. Sometimes it pushes you toward challenges you'd rather avoid. This is where courage comes in, not the dramatic, movie-style courage of grand gestures and bold declarations. I'm talking about quiet courage. The courage to look at yourself honestly, the courage to acknowledge your patterns, the courage to make different choices when everything in you wants to stay the same. This kind of courage isn't born from confidence. It's not born from certainty. It's born from commitment, the commitment to your growth, the commitment to your transformation, the commitment to becoming who you're meant to be. Think about this. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you're building this courage. Every time you face a fear instead of avoiding it, you're strengthening this courage. Every time you stay true to your path despite opposition, you're embodying this courage. But what about the days when courage feels impossible? What about the moments when everything seems too hard, too overwhelming, too much? This is where strategy comes in. This is where you need practical tools, not just inspiration. First, break everything down into smaller pieces. Don't focus on the massive transformation you're trying to create. Focus on the next small step you can take. Don't try to change everything at once. Change one thing, then another, then second. Create systems that support your growth. Your willpower is limited. Your motivation is unreliable. But systems work regardless of how you feel. Systems create progress even on your worst days. What do these systems look like? They're different for everyone, but here are some examples. A morning routine that sets you up for success. An evening review that helps you learn from your day. Regular check-ins with yourself to assess your scheduled times for reflection and planning. Third, learn to manage your energy, not just your time. Time management is important, but energy management is crucial. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't sustain transformation if you're constantly depleted. This means learning to recognize what fills you up and what drains you. It means understanding your natural rhythms and working with them, not against them. It means knowing when to push forward and when to rest. But here's the same as giving up. Rest isn't the same as going backward. Rest is part of the process. Rest is how you integrate changes. Rest is how you prepare for the next phase of growth. Think of it like working out. You don't build muscle during the workout. You build it during the recovery. Your transformation works the same way. The challenges create the potential for growth, but the integration happens during the quiet moments, the reflective times, the periods of rest. This is why sustainable transformation isn't about constant push, constant hustle, constant movement. It's about rhythm. It's about cycles. It's about knowing when to expand and when to contract, when to push and when to pause, when to speak and when to listen. But through it all, keep this truth close to your heart. You're not fixing yourself because you're broken. You're not transforming because you're not enough. You're doing this because growth is your natural state. You're doing this because evolution is your birthright. You're doing this because becoming your best self is the greatest gift you can give to the world. Let me tell you something that might change your entire perspective on this journey you're about to embark on. The person you're becoming will thank you for the pain you're experiencing right now. The future you will look back on this moment, this exact moment, as the turning point. The day everything changed. The moment you finally decided that enough was enough. You see, there's a version of you that exists in the future. A version that's already overcome the challenges you're facing right now. A version that's already built the habits you're struggling to form. A version that's already become who you're striving to be. And that version of you is reaching back through time, through this very moment, asking you to keep going, begging you not to give up. pleading with you to stay committed to this transformation. Why? Because that future version of something you might not fully grasp, every moment of doubt you push through, every obstacle you overcome, every fear you face, these aren't just challenges. They're investments. They're deposits into an account that pays dividends in personal power, in self-trust, in unshakable confidence. But here's the part nobody talks us. The biggest battles in this journey won't be fought in the gym or at work or in any external arena. The biggest battles will be fought in the quiet moments, the moments when nobody's watching, the moments when you're alone with your thoughts, your doubts, your fears. These are the moments that define you. These are the moments that determine your destiny. These are the moments when you either strengthen your commitment to growth or surrender to comfort. And in these moments, you'll face the ultimate test. Will you choose the easy lie or the difficult truth? Will you choose temporary comfort or permanent growth? Will you choose who you've been or who you're becoming? Because here's another truth that most people never realize. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you're not just changing your present, you're rewriting your past. Every time you push through resistance, you're not just creating your future. Think about that for a moment. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're not just building trust with your present self. You're healing the part of you that learned not to trust. Every time you face a fear, you're not just becoming braver. You're healing the part of you that learned to be afraid. Every time you choose growth, you're not just creating a better future. You're healing the part of you that settled for less. This is why transformation is so powerful. It's not just about becoming someone new. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be before the world taught you to be something else. But here's where you need to be incredibly honest with yourself. Are you ready for this? Are you ready to let go of the excuses? Are you ready to release the limiting beliefs? Are you ready to say goodbye to the version of you that's been playing small? Because transformation demands total honesty. It requires you to look at yourself with clear eyes and an open heart. It asks you to acknowledge not just your potential, but also your patterns. Not just your dreams, but also your fears. Not just your aspirations, but also your avoidance. This kind of honesty isn't comfortable. It's not supposed to be. Comfort is what kept you stuck. Comfort is what maintained the status quo. Comfort is what convinced you to accept less than you deserve. The moment you become comfortable with discomfort is the moment you become unstoppable. The moment you embrace uncertainty is the moment you begin to truly live. The moment you stop seeking approval is the moment you start experiencing true freedom. Think about water again. Water doesn't fight its way through obstacles. It flows around them. It doesn't try to control its path. It adapts to whatever container it's in. It doesn't resist change. It embraces it. And in this flexibility, in this adaptability, becomes one of the most powerful forces in nature. This is how you need to approach your transformation. Don't fight against your current reality. Flow toward your desired future. Don't resist the challenges, learn from them. Don't avoid the obstacles, use them as stepping stones. And most importantly, don't wait for the perfect moment to begin. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for validation. Don't wait for someone to come along and make it easy. Because here's the ultimate truth. The perfect moment is now. The perfect place is here. The perfect person to change your life is you. Every excuse you've ever used, every reason you've ever given for why you can't change, every justification you've ever made for staying stuck, they all dissolve in the face of this simple truth. You have everything you need right now to begin your transformation. You have the power to choose differently. You have the ability to act differently. You have the capacity to become different. Will it be easy? No. Will it be worth it? Absolutely. Because here's what happens when you truly commit to your transformation. The universe starts conspiring in your favor. Not in some mystical, magical way, but in the most practical sense possible. When you show up for yourself, you start noticing opportunities you missed before. When you commit to growth, you start attracting people who support that growth. When you choose to evolve, your entire world evolves with you. So right now, in this moment, make a decision. Not a half-hearted, I'll try kind of decision. Not a maybe someday kind of decision. Make an absolute, unshakable, non-negotiable decision to become the person you're meant to be. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to fix your life for you. Nobody's going to create the changes you need to make. But here's the empowering parts. Nobody needs to, because you have everything you need within you right now. You have the power, you have the capacity, you have the ability. Will you use it? Will you answer the call of your highest self? Will you step into the power of your potential? The choice is yours. The time is now. And your future self is waiting, watching, hoping you'll finally say yes to becoming all that you're meant to be. Don't let them down. Don't let yourself down. Rise up, step up. Your transformation begins now.